That women in India's armed forces will not be given combat roles. He says that what if there's a war situation and our women soldiers are made prisoners of war? The question is this caution justified or is it a parochial attitude? That will be the topic of our debate after we get you the story.
It was a day of first time the US President attended India's Republic Day celebrations. First time that a woman officer led the Guard of Honor. India was proud to see its women military officers marching with pride, matching stride with their male compatriots. But was it only for optics?
Lieutenant Commander Sandhya Chauhan leading.
Why aren't women allowed to defend their nation's boundaries along with their male counterparts? Why is it that India doesn't allow a combative role for women? The debate was brought back to spotlight by the Defence Minister's recent remarks on rejecting a combative role for Indian women officers.
कॉम्बॅट सोडून बाकीच्याकडे सगळे आम्ही इन प्रिन्सिपल आहे ते
कॉम्बॅटमध्ये आणण्याचा काय विचार
कॉम्बॅटमध्ये नाही. उद्या जर शत्रू लढाई केली तुम्ही आणि शत्रूने तुमच्या महिला जवानांना प्रिझनर्स ऑफ वॉर केलं तर काय परिणाम होऊ शकतो याचा थोडा विचार करा.
Manoj Parrikar has rejected the idea of women in combat roles in Indian military forces, justifying it with his concern over the greater harm that can be inflicted on women prisoner of war. While India would be debating on pros and cons of allowing women in combat roles, what cannot be ignored is dismal number of women officers in Indian military.
The debate sparked a row with opposition parties accusing the government of double standards.
शर्मनाक है कि इस देश में जहां नारी शक्ति की पूजा होती है, जहां देवी के नाम पर दुर्गा और काली माता की पूजा होती है, वहां इस तरह की बातें करना हमें लगता है कि आपके डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स और डबल स्टेट ऑफ माइंड को दर्शाता है.
Any woman is competent enough for the recruitment and they have their desire to be recruited, then there should be no harm.
While the activists demanded equality of role for women in Indian forces,
where is the problem in women joining combative positions? I mean, it speaks of, it's like almost denigrating women to an absolute zero status.
Well, the minister may like to keep women off the front lines, but he has to answer for the dismally low numbers of women serving in the Indian forces. Only a few thousand across the military forces. The debate will rage on. Arguments of gender equality will be met with concerns of a heightened possibility of violence against women in uniform, and pitfalls of inexperience will be countered with lack of an apt infrastructure to accommodate women. But whatever may be the case, there can be no argument against increasing women representation in Indian forces, against bringing more brave women to take charge in the forces, and from there on, India can open more doors for its proud and very capable women officers. Bureau Report, News X.
Defence Minister Manoj Parrikar says that women in India's armed forces will not get combat roles. He says, what if there's this war situation and our women are made prisoners of war by the enemy? Imagine what could happen to them. The question is this caution justified? We have retired Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, defence analyst. Prabhsahay Kaur is a lawyer. Brijesh Kalapas from the Congress. We're expecting a representative from the BJP shortly. General Shankar Prasad, should women have combat roles in the forces?
Certainly not. I am so happy that the present RM has at least made it in public domain to say that combat role is not suitable for the women officers. Let me make it very clear that it is not just the war all the time we are fighting. There are so many other military duties that go on all the time, like patrolling the line of control, like fighting insurgents in Kashmir and Northeast, and varieties of other issues. The combat arm precisely means the infantry. And the infantry's operations must be understood before you can make a comment on it. It is not just the PWs in war. Yes, the RM is very correct in saying PWs during the war. But what is more important, which I'm sure he's got in his mind, but he didn't say it, is about the issue of routine patrolling on the line of control, routine activities that go on no peace, no war times, like the present days in Kashmir. Do you understand that patrols are out for 36, 48, 56, 72 hours without a break in the line of control and difficult terrains of Kashmir and elsewhere. Now that is the time when 10 people patrol is out. Can you imagine 10 people living together in difficult conditions with no toilet facilities, with no other eating facilities, with no other bathing facilities, to be working together for 10 long days? And a single women officer leading this group. It is socially, it is culturally, it is psychologically not possible. Therefore,
prabhsahay, kaur,
the role of
what would you like to say to General?
No peace, no war. No, let me just complete it, please. No, we must complete this fully. You see, the problem is that there are such a large number of avenues open in the armed forces where women can serve. Why just they want to get into the infantry?
All right.
Do you understand that even the male officers, the infantry is not the first choice? Because of the hardship, physical hardship that they have to go through. I'm not saying women can't go through it. Women can climb Everest. Certainly they can work here. But the conditions under which for prolonged period of time the patrols of the infantry have to work, it is unsuitable for the women officers. And let me also clarify one more point. Why only officers? Everybody seems to be talking about only women officers. Why can't women be inducted also as other ranks in the ASC, in the AOC, in the Singlet? Nobody talks about women joining the other ranks.
I talk about that if you have the time. One second. Let's get a quick word in from prabhsahay, she's a lawyer.
Officers and men.
Prabhsahay, what would you like to say to the argument of General Prasad, which is also the rationale of the defense minister? Yeah.
I respectfully completely disagree with Mr. Parakar and the comments which have been made right now. What we are presuming is that a woman who has undergone the same training as a man, who has undergone the same rigorous training, is unfit to be doing the duties that have been mentioned. Let's understand here that a woman who is in combat, who wants to go into combat, will understand what are the risks involved. What we are doing here is essentially prohibiting them from doing so, even though they have undergone the same training. How can we presume sitting here that it is impossible for a woman to carry out these activities when her education or training is going to be the same as that of a man? I am very surprised at this attitude. In fact, it's very regressive, with due respect, and it in fact shows that, I mean, not only are we not doing what the rest of the world is doing, Canada, Australia, most countries in the world, even Pakistan allows women to be a part of their women fighter pilots in Pakistan. To be saying that they cannot carry out these duties is very surprising. Not only is it absolutely unfair, but it's also completely unconstitutional. Now let's just a moment, just give me one last moment. Let's understand that what you're doing over here is essentially prohibiting them.
The lady doesn't understand the environment in which it is going on.
Which is the
is she prepared to have no toilet for next 10 days or 7 days with an infantry patrol? Is it possible to sleep? Do you understand?
One second, prabhsahay, one second.
Do you understand that the infantry works on a buddy system?
Yes, General Prasad.
Can I respond to that?
Nobody seems to understand that infantry works on a concept of a buddy pair. That means one guy looks after the other guy and the other guy looks after the other guy. Is it possible to share such kind of moments between a man and a woman in field difficult conditions? I fully appreciate what the women are saying. They are capable of doing everything just as well as the men are doing. I'm not questioning that. I'm only saying that environmentally, socially, culturally and psychologically, it is not possible for one woman to live with 10 men for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 days together under no facilities available. It's not possible. We have no toilets. The men go behind bushes and behind trees. It is not possible for women to do this. For God's sake, please understand the employment of the
quick response on prabhsahay, then we'll go to
Shana from the war. Women can do everything perfectly well. But I want to suggest to her, that she should also recommend a full battalion of women, just like the CRPF.
Give me a moment.
Prabhsahay, quick response. You're running out of time. Yeah.
Quick response. Why don't we let the women who decide to go into combat take that decision rather than prohibiting them from doing so at the outset?
Okay. Shana from the BJP, what do you want to say? Yeah.
Because we've got to look after their interests. We can't just let them to the hounds.
Shana, yes.
They are capable enough of looking after their interests.
One second. Shana, yes, go ahead.
Equality. this is not an issue about gender equality. Let's understand that our Honorable Raksha Mantri, what has he said? And I'd like to quote. He says, barring combat duties, women are being recruited for all other duties. What if there is a war situation and our women soldiers are made prisoners of war? We cannot have that situation, but other than combat duties, participation of women will surely increase in armed forces in a phased manner. This is about respect.
Shena, I saw an interesting tweet today. Shena, I saw an interesting tweet today. I read an interesting tweet today. Shehzad Poonawala, who of course sympathizes with the Congress, says that heard of Jhansi ki Rani and Chand Bibi.
Absolutely, but not in the current scenario. We're talking about history and we're talking about the 21st century. Can you imagine a situation where women are taken as war heroes? Can you imagine a situation where there is no facility for a woman to even have toilet basic menstrual cycles? Is this not something to talk about? And the point is that we are aware of the capabilities of women. This is a very progressive step taken by the Raksha Mantri, which is to suggest that we respect our women force, we will increase our women force within the armed forces, but in this specific area of combat, it needs to be
from the Congress, where do you stand on this debate?
Because if tomorrow we have a situation
Jujar, insofar as India is concerned, we are a country of Jhansi Rani, we are a country of Kittur Rani Chennamma, Begum Hazrat Mahal, Rani Durgavati, Razia Sultana, and these were all not now but about 500 years ago. Now things have improved.
They all led armies. There were single women who were leading armies.
You know, they should straight away be infused into. They should. One moment, madam. See, I'm not saying today that they should straight away be infused into the combat role. But for the Raksha Mantri to say that no, they're not going to be included in combat roles is closing a lid, and this is something which discloses a deeply patriarchal mindset. And this is typical of the BJP, because 2 or 3 of its leaders have already come on record to say a Hindu woman should bear about 5 children.
I was waiting for this to come from the Congress.
1 minute left.
Do your research about Mr. Madhavan.
Countries like Canada,
we have just 1 minute left. General Shankar Prasad, very quickly.
Like the US,
so don't get into this.
General Shankar Prasad, very quickly. I want to put the point that prabhsahay kaur was alluding to earlier. 1 second, General Shankar Prasad.
What is this argument?
1 second, General Prasad. 1 second, Shena. 1 second, General Prasad. Prabhsahay kaur was mentioning earlier that you have countries like France, Germany, Denmark, Finland, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Romania, Sweden. Even Eritrea and North Korea have women in combat roles. Pakistan has women fighter pilots. Why are women in combat there but not in India?
It is not a successful experiment even in the United States.
No,
you go on quoting these countries without relevance. The fact of the matter is this, that infantry, which is the primary combat arm, cannot accept single women operating with 10 or 12 or 15 men in a patrol. Let us understand. I am all for women joining the armed forces. There are so many other departments of the armed forces where women can contribute very effectively. In the Corps of Signals, in the Corps of AOC, engineers, signals. So many of these facilities are JAG branch, education branch. Why is they only wanting to come to a combat zone where even men find it so difficult to live? Even today, the combat infantry is not the first choice of young men, simply because it's physically so challenging, it's so difficult. In modern days today, can you imagine a guy going without a bath or a toilet for 10 days? There's no question of hot water or cold water. There is no water at all available. There is no food available. People are sleeping in rain and the
close the debate. Prabhsahay kaur, yes.
Just two short points. One, the issue here is closing the right to make a choice for a woman. If she chooses to make a choice, it's a different issue. The issue here is what we're talking about is a prohibition. All these difficulties, let her make that choice for herself if she chooses to do it or not. Two, What the Defence Minister said today, and Shania ji also mentioned,
only making an emotional point.
The issue is thus that of how to protect our prisoners of war. It is not a woman prisoner of war who should get any differential treatment. 3. Wing Commander Pooja Thukral, who was there when Barack Obama had come in, please remember what she had said. She said, I'm an officer first and then a woman. So let's not classify them as women officers, they're first officers.
Okay, we've completely run out of time.
Perfectly alright, great.
Completely run out of time. This is a contentious, sensitive issue, and obviously opinion is clearly divided. Perhaps it will be with our viewers as well. We'll leave it over there. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.